So first, let me tell you that I apologize for joining late because I was involved in a very exciting initiative just launched by the government of Karnataka, which was about a platform, a pandemic response platform that has been developed by NASSCOM in collaboration with the government of Karnataka to really capture very diverse data and then use analytics and AI to actually inform us if various parts of the city, state, and country are. And this actually will allow us to unlock activity in a very safe and informed way. So I think this is a very, very important opportunity that we have created where, governance, government, protocols, and every citizen, every industry actually can partake in making these decisions of safe operations. Now, I think what to answer your question about when will we see a vaccine, we actually are doing all this because we believe that it will take a very long time before you can actually have a safe vaccine that can be accessible to the entire country. Because we must understand that vaccine development is a very complex process. Okay, most vaccines, even the shortest time taken for any vaccine is not less than 4 years. And now we are try and develop a vaccine in less than a year is a very daunting and almost impossible task. Because I think I want people to understand that vaccine development involves a large number of processes where you keep wanting to establish the safety of the vaccine, the efficacy of the vaccine, and the endurance of the vaccine. For instance, it's not enough just to get a response, like you've been listening in the news items, that every vaccine maker seems to get very excited when you get a response, an immune response from a person who has been vaccinated. Everyone is likely to actually have an immune response to anything that is foreign, as you know. And even if you get neutralizing antibodies as a response to that particular vaccine, doesn't mean anything. Because you have seen that monkeys who had an immune response with neutralizing antibodies, when they were challenged with the virus, got infected. So you need to see what is the response, the immune response level required to endure that response to make sure you don't get infected when you are exposed to the virus. So just to answer those kind of questions takes a very long time. Then you need to see the safety of those vaccines in a very large population base. Then you have to make sure that you have the capacity and the stockpile, that the moment a vaccine looks successful, do you have enough of vaccine to vaccinate the communities with? And no one is going to stockpile huge amounts of vaccines because you don't know which vaccine is going to work. So if you have stockpiled vaccines for a particular program, and if that program doesn't work, I think people are not prepared to make those kind of investments. So as you get to answering those questions, if you start seeing that a particular vaccine candidate is looking promising, only then are people likely to invest in manufacturing that vaccine. And to manufacture that vaccine, by the way, there are regulatory requirements which take 3 to 4 months before you can actually get approved for manufacturing that vaccine. And then to manufacture at scale and the capacity that you want will take a long time. So I think we should delude ourselves into believing that we are going to get a vaccine in the next few months. I, for one, don't believe it. And secondly, in the last week itself, the most responsible statement was made by the CEO of Merck, who actually said, look, even if we develop a vaccine in the shortest amount of time to make it safe and reliable, I don't think we can shortcut anything less than 18 months to 2 years, which means that we should really understand that we need to deal with this pandemic for the next 2 years before we really get a reliable vaccine. if that is the case, what do we need to do? I think Sunita made a very, very important and compelling proposal that we need to invest much more in healthcare. If this pandemic has exposed one ugly truth about every country, not just India, it is about the appalling state of public and primary healthcare, the appalling state of underinvesting in healthcare. And I think she is absolutely right when she says that for India, healthcare is the next IT opportunity, because this is a sector that needs, it's a capital intensive sector, which other sectors are not. It is a skill intensive sector, which of course other sectors also have their own skill requirements. And it is a employment generation sector where, you know, the multiplier effect that one medical job has is fourfold. And I think this must be taken into context when we are rebuilding our economy. Thirdly, I think we must also look at the future of healthcare, which is what your topic is all about. You know, we've been thrown into the deep end of the digital world, of the virtual world. Telemedicine, telehealth, e-pharmacy, and everything that is online and electronic is now a reality. We should now embrace these technologies to make us more efficient. Because today it is information and data that will allow us to predict and be proactive. So we should be able to actually use technology today, and lots of technologies are being developed in a very innovative way to basically to basically use data like X-rays, data like ultrasounds, data like various things to know how serious the patient is. So instead of waiting for the patient to get into a serious state, you can actually be proactive. You can actually look at the prognosis of any and every patient and save those lives. We also need to look at what is it that can actually protect us in many ways. Is there a good therapy? Is there a good immunization therapy that can make us stronger or less vulnerable to this particular virus? I know that there is a trial ongoing for vaccinating people with BCG vaccines. It's not that BCG vaccine is working against the virus, but the BCG vaccine is to boost your immune system so that you can fight the virus better. You know, we ourselves are repurposing a drug for seeing whether we can deal with severe patients. And it seems to be showing a lot of promise. Then there are other drugs that can actually be used at an early stage, which can probably help patients recover faster and so on and so forth. So I think there needs to be a very systematic, data-led approach to seeing how we can actually deal with the infection and keep people safe. So I think these are many, many things that we need to look at, where digital technologies, telehealth, telemedicine, and of course this whole opportunity of delivering universal healthcare, where Ayushman Bharat has done a great job of looking after the poorest of poor, but they need to link their tertiary care of cashless hospitalization with preventive primary care as well. And therefore their wellness centers can also serve as primary healthcare centers to basically make us aware of what is it that we need to worry about in terms of the pandemic. We all know about sanitization and hand washing, physical distancing, which is also very difficult in a country like India. But we also have things like wearing of masks, wearing of gloves by the vulnerable parts of our society, making sure that we understand and educate our people about why this is so necessary. Why should we stop spitting? Why should we stop urinating in public? You know, all these are very important aspects. Even for the first time, I think the focus on garbage should also be brought into the limelight, because we need a clean environment. Today, I was reading an article about why certain countries have been able to ward off this viral pandemic better than others. For instance, Japan and Thailand and Vietnam, Thailand especially, have got a much cleaner, hygiene ethic in their people. Japan also has had this kind of a benefit of people being clean, their environment being clean. And they have always been wearing masks whenever there's been any outbreak of any epidemic. So these kind of things have also helped them in a big way. I think these are times for us also to educate our people and make sure that we actually come out of this much stronger, cleaner, and wiser. And I hope that this is one opportunity for us to invest in our healthcare infrastructure in a massive way, because this is what will save India and the world. I think we have realized for the first time how important health is. Health is wealth. You can see that just this one pandemic has eroded the economy in a way that we never expected. So if you don't have good health, you cannot have a good economy. And I think that recognition and realization has hit us all in a very important way. And we should not forget this.
Thank you, madam. I think